Welcome to this very first video where we're actually going to make a deep dive into the Facebook Ads Manager. This is our lovely tool that we are going to work with, which is the tool that you, if you strive to be a Facebook ads performance marketer, a media buyer, should really deeply master. Like a designer masters his Photoshop or his Illustrator tool, like a videographer masters his camera, if you are a media buyer, if you are a Facebook performance marketer, this is the tool that you are going to master. I spent at least 10,000 hours using this tool in the last 7 years. I've spent more than, I would say like roughly 10 million in ad spend, euros in ad spend into impressions on Facebook and Instagram ads. And all through this wonderful tool, which is the Facebook Ads Manager. And I'm definitely not going to give you like a detailed guide how to go here and set up a campaign, because that is all very intuitive. That is all very easy. You can just watch one video on YouTube. It goes like 20-30 minutes, and someone will show you the interface. Where's the campaign? Where's the ad set? Where's the ad? How do the settings work? That is all like the basic stuff that you're going to need. And so actually you know where are the right buttons. And what I can do for you is I can teach you, and this is part of this masterclass, and I mean the whole masterclass here has the goal of teaching you how to become an extraordinarily impactful marketer that is able to use this tool for any company to his advantage and provide crazy growth, scale successfully, scaling the sales, over time increasing more and more the daily budget that goes into this ad manager when you have a 5x, 10x revenue or profit multiple coming out. So what I teach you is how to actually use this tool in the best possible way. All the strategic insights. How do you do your targeting? How do you set up the campaigns? I mean, not technically, but like logically and strategically, how do you get the best performance from your Facebook ads? And I think the first step that we should actually do is we go in here. This is just a random account, and you can see that there have been some really great spending here. And this is the main interface, the main dashboard that you see. And most marketers, especially most amateur marketers, they operate this ads manager from a setting, which is the default setting here, which is named performance. I can tell you this is like the columns button here, where you set your KPIs. And this is going to be a video. This first video is mainly going to be about how do I set this ads manager in a way that suits me and my playing style. You can really compare it to the way you would set your shortcuts or your buttons in a specific video game. Some guys like to play with the buttons like this. Some change it around. Some like the tactical controlling buttons, and like this is the way you set up your dashboard and the way you maneuver through this ad account. And you can already see that one of the most important things actually is to go in here and create your own columns. So all these different things here, if I click on one of these others, it would change the different KPIs that are shown to me here. And all these default setup ones, they are complete garbage. Like you don't really learn anything about your funnel and your overall marketing performance from using this default columns KPI setting here. So what I always do, which is the very first step when I take on a new ad account, is I create my own KPIs. My company is called Bots, so I have the Bots KPIs. And there's a very, very special logic to this, how and why we let us show these specific KPIs that I've listed here. And I'm just going to click it, and you can have a look at the different KPIs, and you can copy them for yourself and look through your data with this specific KPI lens. And I will tell you exactly why I've shown these KPIs in a way and why I'm setting it up like this. So now I clicked on my KPI settings, and I will go with you through from left to right. And I actually have a very important order to this as well, and I'm going to explain to you after I've shown you this, why I set it up like this. So it starts with, on the very left, is your campaign turned on or off? I think it's pretty obvious why you need it. Then you have the campaign name, and you can also directly let you show the ad set name or ad name here as well, just for having the right overview. Then, which is most of the time it's the same as your on-off button, is your delivery status, which shows you is your campaign active or not. And it tells you how and where the budget is coming from. And if I, for example, would go into this campaign here and look at the different ad sets, I would see how much budget this specific ad is spending on a daily basis. Here, I only see the amount spent in my given time frame. So right now, this is set to maximum. If I put this to 30 days, I would see how much money is this account spending in these campaigns in the time frame. And for example, if you look and check your performance on a daily basis, or if you want to see an accurate view, maybe your ads manager was performing really well in the past. Now the performance has been getting worse. It is extremely important to always look within the last few days, how is the performance improving or getting worse. So for example, if I want to get an accurate picture of what is the business doing right now, I would set this to 7 days, or include today if it makes sense, or I just look at the last 5 days to get an accurate picture of what is happening right now with this specific ad account. And you see, within the last couple of days, they're spending a couple €100, and I guess they have the reason for it, why the budget is like this, and you can take that into consideration. You get your amount spent, and you get your reach, your impressions, and your reach and your impressions give you a frequency. From this, you can immediately see how many people are reached and how many impressions are delivered to these people. For example, retargeting most of the time has smaller audiences and a higher frequency because there's a smaller pool of people that see your ads over and over again, so the frequency is higher. While as cold campaigns have a lower frequency because more individual people are reached, and the algorithm is testing which people are relevant, and then these people get targeted by more campaigns. But overall, you can say that the cold campaigns most of the time have the lowest frequency because they have a wide audience of people that see your ad for the first time, and some people might only see it only once. Usually, you could also show you the CPM costs right here, and you will understand why at the end of this KPI rundown here. So here I basically get an understanding for how much money do I spend and how many impressions do I get. Because in Facebook, unlike to Google, in Google you can pay for a click. Here, you always pay for impressions. And for example, this campaign, it paid roughly €1,000 for 75,000 impressions. From that, you can also calculate the CPM costs, but they're somewhere else in this KPI sheet here. Because you only buy impressions, and that's also where the term media buyer comes from, it is extremely important to get the most out of these impressions. If you go to your ads manager with a bad product, a bad brand, bad content, bad settings, a bad funnel, a bad conversion, and a bad CLTV in your business, then you're still paying €1,000 for 75,000 impressions, but you might not get any profits or sales or anything positive from that. While other businesses that have a good product, good brand, good content, and so on, they still pay the same money for their impressions, but they monetize these impressions much better. And now we come to basically all the output that these impressions generate you, all the next steps. For example, here, because these are video campaigns, I already know that I'm getting video views. And I get 3-second video views. I get 25% video views, which means the videos that were used here, these are the amount of people that watch these videos for at least 25% of the video length. If it's a 4-minute video, then I have per campaign here around 1,600 people that watched at least 1 minute of my video, which means a 1-minute brand impression, and the ability to retarget these people through custom audiences or lookalike them as they seem to be interested in what I have to tell in my video. And you can see that I have a specific depth to these. I have the order, and with every next step, it gets a deeper impression, a deeper, more full, more meaningful impression of this video. And you also see that less and less people watch it. So 1,600 people have watched it 25%, only 1,100 people have watched it 50%, and only 550 people have watched the whole video. And you also see an average video playtime, which, if it's this low, you know that most of the people have basically swiped this away. And you can also tell from your impression count that you don't really have a really catchy video here, or something about your audience seems to be burned out, or your overall market is kind of saturated, because 9 out of 10 people swipe your ad away immediately, because you have 55,000 impressions, and roughly 10% of that generate a 3-second video play, which means 50,000 people don't even get the 3-second play. They're like immediately swiping it away, which is crazy. And when it comes to an actual video impression of, like, let's say 30 seconds, 40 seconds, it gets even lower. It's just a couple of thousand, or just 1,000 people for 50,000 impressions, which is quite bad. And this ad account should definitely have a look at maybe coming up with new, more catchy, more hooky, more interesting, more curious, just better videos that make the audience more curious. Novelty, fresh content. Then, this is basically stage 1, which is just the video play itself. And now, there are many different interactions that can happen with this video. For example, a link click, or just any click or any engagement, which usually should also be shown here at this specific point in this KPI dashboard. And you get a feel for how many people click your ads, how many people view and expand your long texts, click on the video, click on an image, give a like, a comment, a share. These are all overall clicks, which is counted by the CPC all metric here. But also the link clicks are basically the outbound clicks, which are going to be very important later. And you can see that I get rates and costs and everything about this specific metric. For example, here's the link click, and I also get the click rate of this link click. So I see how many people actually clicked the link, and it gives me a rate of, in regards to my impressions, how many people of the people that I've reached have actually done this click. And now we're getting into the framework KPIs as well, because you see that outbound CTR, CTR, outbound CPC, and CPC all, these are all framework metrics. And just by looking at the holistic business framework and the KPI master sheet that we've developed, you can already tell that the CTR, especially for outbound traffic and for these link clicks, is really low on these campaigns. It's much lower than you want it to have. And you can already see in your KPI framework master sheet that this could definitely potentially be one of the bottlenecks that this business is currently struggling with, because you pay only for your impressions. And by having a bad click rate, a bad outbound CTR here, this is the same metric basically. You see that these metrics are super similar, 0.72%, 0.71%, like almost the identical metric here, because it's the same metric usually. And you can tell that, imagine having better creatives, better content, and getting 3 times this click rate, because your ad is just better, your content is just better. Then you would still pay the same money for your impressions, but you get 3 times the clicks, which means your click price is cut in like you save 70% of your per click. It only costs you 30 cents, while now a click might cost you €1 or even more. So you basically cut your traffic costs down so much by improving all these rates here. From this outbound click rate, you get your outbound clicks, and you can then calculate the cost that this click has basically cost you. And no, it is not an additional cost that is built anywhere. This is just a measurement way that divides your cost for your impressions, and it calculates how many clicks did you get from these costs, and this is just the number that they come up with. So these are not costs that happen anywhere again. It's just the calculation of how many clicks did you get for what kind of money, and this number is presented here. And also, this is one of the more important framework KPIs, and you can already tell, I mean, €1.50 is quite good, €1.60 is also quite good, €2 getting expensive, €5 getting really expensive, but this is most likely a retargeting campaign, as we could tell from the quite high frequency here. So this shouldn't be a problem as long as it's getting good sales, good CPAs. And perhaps you've noticed that most of these metrics here, they also have a column that says unique outbound, unique link click, unique outbound click, unique CTR, unique click, unique link click. This means this unique is basically the term for how many individual people that you've reached have clicked this event, have done this action. Because you want to know how many, for example here, outbound clicks, you want to know how many individual potential customers you're getting here. I don't care if I get 100 clicks from 10 users, because that means I only have 10 potential customers. I don't have 100, I have 10. And they have a weird behavior of clicking 10 times on average, which can definitely happen. Or, I mean, depends on your tracking and the way you set up this whole thing up and your strategy. But you can see that these unique outbound clicks are definitely lower than your outbound clicks, because you cannot have more individual people that have clicked compared to the overall clicks that have been performed. So it always is always less. And what we see here, it is actually quite good, that you could see that there is like almost 90% of individual clicks from 100 unique clicks. From 100 outbound clicks, you get 88 unique clicks, which means these are the potential individual customers. And then some people have clicked twice, or one person has clicked an additional 11 times, and that's how these numbers get shown here. But what you don't want to happen is if you have 1,000 outbound clicks and only a couple hundred unique outbound clicks, that means that you're basically only working with a couple hundred unique customers, which is then the number that needs to be improved. I don't care about the clicks, I care about the unique people that have clicked. Same with all the other metrics. And that's the wonderful thing, that you can basically split every metric and every action into these different components. You get the cost, you get the overall amount, you get the rates, and you get the unique costs. And you can also look at the unique rates, like your unique click rate here, which means I'm running ads. How many people, how high is the rate of individual people that have seen my ad and have clicked? I don't care how often they have seen it, and I don't care how often they have clicked. I need this metric to get a feel for how well is my ad bringing traffic to my pages. And by looking at all these metrics, I get a really quick and really good impression of how well is this ad working in terms of how high are the rates, how low and cheap does it bring me good clicks, and how many clicks overall do I get. If I run ads and I only get 20 clicks a day, 10 clicks a day, it's hard to make some data analysis on that. So also looking at your clicks and your outbound clicks is the first metric that you would look at to just test and see if your ad is overall running. If it's getting clicks, it means it's working. It's getting impressions, it's getting clicks. That's the test to see if your ad actually works and is online. And then you see that here I already see my results, which if you run purchase conversion campaigns, your cost per result is always your CPA cost, which is the cost per purchase. Here 18 euros, here almost 60, here 60, 56. And this is shown here. It doesn't need to be shown here. You can show it later, or you can just look at the CPA of conversion purchase price. But if you're, for example, generating leads and your ad set is optimizing towards leads, then cost per result will always show you cost per lead. And this is basically dynamic. As you can see here, it doesn't show anything because there are multiple conversions set in the ad sets of this specific campaign. Now we're getting more interesting KPIs here. For example, what is this? Cost per 1,000 accounts center. What? I've never seen this. The average cost to reach 1,000 account center accounts. I don't know at all what this metric is. I think this might be CPM reach, because I usually show CPM costs, which is how much does it cost you to get 1,000 impressions, and right next to that I always look at the cost to reach 1,000 individual people, which is, as I just described, sometimes more important to me than the overall impression count. But this is the number of impressions, the cost of impressions, and this gives you the best metric to figure out how cheap is it to get views and clicks and impressions here on Facebook. And you see it's quite cheap actually. It's around 10 euros in this campaign, 25 here. This is quite cheap. If you have other mediums, like you run TV ads or print ads or billboard ads, these numbers are like factor 10, 20, 50x higher, because they are just more developed and used by many more people like Facebook ads. Facebook ads is still quite cheap if you look at it like this. TikTok and other more new social media channels always start out with much, much cheaper CPM costs. 5, 7, 10 years ago, you could advertise for €1 CPM on Facebook. Today, you can advertise for 3, 5 euro CPM on TikTok. And for example, if you target specific countries that are not as well developed, for example, some countries in Asia or Africa, you get CPM costs of a couple of cents, because in these countries, the purchasing power of the people isn't just there, and so there are not many companies advertising to Africa or to Asia. So this is a reflection of how much does it cost you to advertise in this specific location. For example, local targeting is always also more expensive because it's local. It's harder for the algorithm to win the bidding on these specific people. And also by targeting very precisely, your CPM costs can rise because your algorithm needs to bid higher to reach these individual people, which shouldn't be a problem because of the rates and everything else. For example, if you have really good rates, click rates, conversion rates, it shouldn't bother you if you pay like 20, 30, 40 euro CPM. Of course, it's 4 times cheaper paying 10 euro CPM for the same people where you can pay 40 euro CPM, but maybe you have 8 times higher click rates on your 4 times higher CPM cost audiences, which means overall you get half the click costs. And the most important metric is always the bottom of funnel metric, the CPA, the ROAS, the purchase conversion values. These are just metrics in the middle of your funnel, in between your most important events, so they shouldn't concern you too much, but they give an indicator for what's happening with this ad account. Here you can see it tracks landing page views, and I actually have a really important thing to say about the landing page views, because you can have a look at the unique outbound clicks or the outbound clicks. We have 722 here in total, and the first campaign has 100. Now, you have 100 clicks from your ad These are not engagement clicks, these are really outbound clicks. These are link clicks, outbound clicks, which means they're actually traffic, actual traffic. And from these 722, only 415 arrive on the landing pages. And from the first campaign, where we have 100 outbound clicks, only 65 arrive on the landing page, which raises a couple of questions. And I can give you the answer to these questions. The main answer today is this is an iOS 14 tracking problem. You actually have way more landing page views than what's shown here. You most of the time have up to 90%, 95%, 97% of your outbound clicks, they actually arrive on your landing page. A couple of years back, when all these metrics were extremely accurate, you could use this number a lot to figure out how good is your page speed. Because if you have 5 seconds, 10 seconds page load speed, then of 100 outbound clicks, definitely 10, 20, 30 might lose the motivation and just go back to Facebook, back to scrolling, because I don't have time for loading your page. Now you can't really tell, is this a page load error? Is this a tracking error? Because these metrics are just not given to you provided by Apple, and the whole way this iOS 14 tracking thing is set up. So I can't really look at the landing page views so precisely anymore. I mainly look at outbound individual clicks now and outbound link clicks, and I get a feel for, I definitely make sure that my page is loading quickly, but these metrics are always shown lower as they really are. And now here, you can draw like this imaginary line here. All the metrics that are now coming to the right, that are now following on the right, they all have this problem of not being tracked accurately. These are all the metrics that are within Facebook. Facebook knows these numbers extremely well, and they are accurate because there's no iOS 14 anything that can block them. While here, these are now the pixel data that come from your website and from your pages from outside of Facebook. And this is where the tracking blocking and the iOS 14 is happening. So these numbers are all, not as accurate, but obviously we have to work with them in a way. We can try to look at Google Analytics, check the numbers there, get a feel for how well are these working. Maybe you can try some other tracking tools like HiROS or like other advanced tracking data analytics things where you figure out how many page views did this really give you. You could try to work with UTM parameters to track them in Google Analytics to see exactly how many page views did this campaign bring. I can tell you if they have 100 outbound clicks and your page is good and you're using quick landing pages, you got 95 landing page views and not 65. And now, as all these events are now divided into unique events, cost, rates, everything, you know that all these costs are also a bit skewed because they're derived from these overall numbers. Also, the unique events here are now not shown because of the iOS 14 problem. And overall there are many bugs in this ads manager. Sometimes they are shown, sometimes are not shown. It's all a bit random what's happening here in the ads manager. Then what we see here is now we get into conversion values. Because if you have your tracking set up correctly, then you can track here how high is the average cart value that people are trying to check out. Because we're definitely tracking conversion values and purchase conversion values in the end. If people bought for 100 euros, I know that from my purchase conversion value metric, but I also know how much stuff are they putting into their cart value. And if I see 45 add to carts, which in sum put 4,000 euros in value into their cart, this means I have an average add to cart value here of around 100 euros. I also see my cost per add to cart. Again, unique things are bugged. I see the next step, which is the checkout or the add to payment info, depending on how you named the event. Again, you can see how much value are people checking out with. You get your overall count for checkouts initiated. Again, same metric. Add payment, checkouts, most of the times same event. Sometimes you have more steps in your checkout. And you get your purchases. Now, these are the bottom of funnel metric. In this case, for every e-com, it's important to look at these purchases, and it's very important that these purchases are accurate, because your campaigns are optimizing for purchases, your whole marketing team is optimizing for getting the lowest CPA, which is the cost per purchase, which is this metric. CPA stands for cost per acquisition, and every purchase here counts as a new acquired customer. In the past, we also knew how many individual people bought this. Sometimes, especially with e-com shops or websites or like this shopping brands, you might have 7 unique purchases and 9 purchases, which means 2 of your 7 unique customers bought twice. It can give you an indicator for why do people buy twice? Why do people buy twice in the same 7 or 14-day attribution window? What's happening here? This is a special reactivation campaign. Is this normal? Maybe some customers missed a part of their purchase at the first purchase. Maybe you can give them a smarter bundling. Things like that can be derived from that if you know the numbers, which you don't know from this specific Facebook dashboard here. And now, again, cost per purchase. This is just the number that is shown here by taking your overall spent, your amount spent, and dividing your amount spent through your purchases. This is what gives you a number. How much does it cost you an ad spend to get one purchase on average? And this is why we are called media buyers, because we are paying this money to Facebook to get one customer. And what's also shown, of course, it's shown how much are they checking out with, how much value do they actually purchase. Do I pay 56 euros so someone checks out with a 30 euro average basket? Then I would have a 0.5x ROAS. So I'm losing money on the first sale. Or are they checking out with a 100 euro basket? Then I have a 2x ROAS on the 50 euro CPA costs. So I'm potentially a bit profitable, more like break even on the first purchase. And these first purchases, this is your acquisition. This is your new customer acquisition. And this ROAS here is not your business's ROAS. This is this individual first transaction ROAS, which should not be your end goal. As you know, from the long funnel thinking, from the customer journeys, from the whole sales funnel strategy, from the CLTV framework metrics, you want to have more products. You want to have long-term retention, upsells, cross-sells, and a long customer relationship. So this is not your overall business's ROAS. This is just your first purchase, or rather, it is the purchase that is attributed to these ads. If you, for example, have 8 unique purchases, 8 unique purchasing people with 9 purchases, this means that the double purchase of one of your 8 unique people is also put into these conversion values here. So it's like the first, depending on the attribution window, the first 7, 14, 80, 28 days after your acquisition is still tracked, but mainly this is just the first order. And it only gives you the ROAS for your first order. This is definitely a very important ROAS because it shows you how much liquidity do you need to provide to scale your ads. If you, for example, have a 0.5 or 1x ROAS on your acquisition campaign, then you need to provide more liquidity to scale. If you have a 7x ROAS here, or if I look back at some of the other campaigns, if you have like crazy high ROAS on your initial purchase, then this means you're getting customers for very, very low cost per purchase. you pay just very, very little money to already generate huge profits in your first order with a 10x, 20x ROAS, making profits, getting new customers and making profits in that step already, and then you still have your remarketing and your email marketing and your upsells and your subscription models and all that, which is not in this number here because it's not attributed by Facebook. This is then attributed by your CRM, by your analytics dashboard, by your Shopify, by Google Analytics, by all these deeper business intelligence tools that you use to accurately understand what's happening in your business. So this is acquisition. And this took me a long time to understand. I thought I use Facebook ads to scale a business or to make growth happen or to whatever, scale the startup to the moon. No, I'm mainly getting the new customers. And if the startup isn't good at retaining and remonetizing these new customers, then I can do my acquisition system really well. They basically going down the drain. Yeah, and so as we know this, by now, you know what metrics I'm working with, and you see how much deeper I go than just looking at the basic default setting here or looking at the video engagement. Yes, I'm looking at the video engagement here. I have like 8, 12 columns of just looking at the video engagement and click engagement, but I also have so much more because I want to understand all the different metrics and everything that's happening. If you have an app, you want to look at how many downloads you've been generated. If you have a lead, you want to have a look at, if you have a lead gen funnel, you want to know the leads, you want to know how many people booked a date, you want to maybe track the calls, offline conversions, and feed all this data in here. And now here I can basically show you why they are ordered in this way. Because of course, for people that see this for the first time, they're a bit overwhelmed. So many KPIs, what the fuck? It's so many numbers. Where do I even start? And it's pretty easy once you understand it, because this whole thing here, going from your first impressions, to your video views, to your first clicks, to your page views, to your add to cart, to your checkout, to your purchase, to your ROAS, to your revenues, this is just the order of the funnel, right? This is just going from left to right in the order where the customer journey is also in that same order. So that's how I come up with all these metrics. At first, I start with the general information, which is the input. Are my campaigns online? How much money are they spending? What's the naming? Like keeping track of that. You mean you have to know what are your retargeting, what are your cold campaigns, and you have to be like put some structure into that. Your naming, your budgets, your campaign status, and the way the whole thing is set up. Then once you have this set up, your campaigns go online and they generate the first numbers. They generate their impressions, their reach, their frequencies, they get their video views, they get their engagement and their clicks. And with clicks, I mean every sort of clicks. The outbound clicks, the not outbound clicks, the individual clicks, the whatever engagement clicks, like all that stuff. Here we have the outbound clicks and also, of course, cost per outbound click, which I'm going to show you this bottom thing here later. So once people have done this outbound click, then they land inside my funnel, which has events. We have landing page, add to cart, checkout, thank you. For lead gen, we have landing page, lead, calendar, booking, call, date, whatever, and thank you. Or if you have a specific survey, you could do page view, survey start, survey success, thank you. Just different events to measure your funnel depth. And whenever there's a big unexpected drop-off in one of these steps, having 100 landing page views and then only 5 people get into this next step, you have a problem in this step. If you have 100 landing page views, 30, 40 add to carts, but only 5 purchases or 1 purchase, there's a problem in this step. So whenever there's a big drop-off, you know where's the bottleneck. And that's why this is so wonderful to arrange them in this order, where you can first look at your outbound clicks, 100. Unique landing page views, less, but tracking problems. Maybe 90. Then you get to add your cards, you get like 16, or potentially this is like potentially 20 or 25 if tracking was accurate. Then you have your add payment information and your checkouts, which again, you see that these numbers are quite good when it comes to the overall flow of this funnel here. And then you get 15 purchases, which if you have 50 people doing the checkout and only 15 purchases, potentially these are not tracked accurately, and maybe there's too many tracked here, or people trigger this event twice, which can also happen. That's why you always want to look at the unique, but you can see some campaigns show the unique, some don't. So here it's quite interesting to see that there were 32 checkouts counted of 15 individual checkouters, checking out people. So you don't have 32 potential customers, you have maximum 15, because these are the unique ones. And now getting 14 sales out of 15 unique checkouts, wow. Tell me what checkout you're using. Tell me what you're doing with your forms and with your like the shopping process. What payment providers do you have where you get such a good number here? And you can see that these numbers are mostly good. Like in all of the different campaigns, you have like 18 of 21, 16 of 22, 21 of 20. You see how now the numbers get a bit weird if you have 21 purchases from 20 checkouts. But here you can see that these were only 19 unique customers from 20 unique people that have checked out, while there are much more checkouts created. This is because some people trigger this event twice. And by looking at this number in this order, you get a feel for where can be the biggest drop-off. And to get the most out of all your information, you break down every event. This all counts as an event. Landing page is an event, add to cart is an event, checkout is an event, thank you page is an event, click is an event, outbound click is an event, and theoretically impression is also an event, because you have the impressions, you have the individual impressions, which is your reach, you have your cost per impressions, which is your CPM, and you have your cost per individual impression, which is your cost per reach. And you break that down into every event. You break down every event into their rates and their costs. For example, using the outbound click event, which is just one out of, let's say, 8 or 10, or how many we have, you have an absolute count. You get the rate, which calculates from your impressions, how high is the rate from people going from impressions to this specific event. So out of 100 impressions, if you get 3 outbound clicks, that's a 3% outbound click rate. And this OCTR stands for outbound click rate or outbound click-through rate. Then, to calculate your cost of the specific step, you get your outbound cost per click or cost per outbound click, OCPC. You want to get a feel for how many individual purchasing power is there in this specific traffic piece. Is it just one person clicking 10 times, which doesn't do anything good for my business? Or are there actually 10 potentially interested people on my page right now browsing, which you can then check with your Google Analytics and get an accurate feel for that if Facebook isn't tracking these data anymore. Then your individual rate, which is just using the same logic here, but for your individual account, and then also the cost for that. And by using the breakdown of every event into these different metrics, you get a really good feel for what is happening in your funnel. And these are the statistics that I've been using for many years, that I always use today. If I have a look at an ad account, I copy and paste my column settings first to get a feeling for what is happening in this account. Where are the potential bottlenecks? Where are the high potentials? Where are we already maxing out pretty good? For example, if I see of 20 people checking out, I get on average 15, 18, 19 sales. This means my checkout is pretty good. I need to get more people into my checkout and work on my on my rates before that. Also, and this is a topic for another video, or this is a topic for the framework KPI, holistic framework master KPI sheet. If you already pay €5 for your click, how are you going to keep your acquisition costs down? Because paying high money in an early step of your funnel, for a click, for an outbound click, for a page view, for an add to cart, you always have further drop downs later. You always have further drop offs later. Every step cuts 10%, 20%, sometimes 50 or more percent of your previous amount of clicks down afterwards. So if you already pay €5 for your click, a 10% conversion rate would give you a €50 CPA, which, depending on your CLTV, might not be as good. So you need to get your click costs down, because if you pay €1 for your click and then you have your 10% conversion rate, then you pay only €10 for your CPA. And this is why we've developed this amazing, amazing framework KPIs list, which you can find in every video in the Holistic Framework Masterclass playlist. You can just take your KPIs from your ads manager, put them into the 6 areas: product, brand, content, traffic, conversion, CLTV. You put your click costs there, you put your outbound click costs there, you put your click rates there, and your conversion rates, and your CLTV, and your ROAS, and this shows you where's the bottleneck. Where is the true bottleneck? As I said, a €5 click cost, pretty bad. 1% conversion rate, pretty bad. Below 1% outbound click rate, pretty bad. 3.5% outbound click rate, nice. 10% conversion rate on a paid purchase, really good. 5x ROAS, nice. You see how this works? And in the last 7 years, I've looked at 150 plus different ad accounts. And I not just looked at them, I worked and built up these ad accounts with my team, with different businesses. And I scaled these ad accounts, or at least I scaled some ad accounts. And I just got a really good feel for what makes these ad accounts scalable. And I can look at this data so quickly, and I can immediately tell what's wrong with the business. Is it the product? Is it the targeting? How is your targeting? Like, for example, if you have a really good product, really good brand, really good ads, but you're just doing a really bad setup, and we're going to talk a lot about setups in other videos here, then your numbers will look really bad, but I know there's so much potential in them. If I just tweak your ads the right way, use the learning phases the right way, use the pixel, do some good CPOs, find the right balance between cold and retargeting, and I'm going to take the same product, the same brand, the same ad creatives visually, but by just having a better technical setup, I'm going to produce 5 times your ROAS, getting your CPA costs down from €100 to €20, getting your click costs down from €4 to €1, and getting your conversion rate up from 3 to 5, 7, 9% by improving your business in holistically. Better funnel, better ads, better creatives, better brand trust, better copywriting, better, more catchy design, more trust in your brand, like all the stuff. It works together, and these numbers are the reflection of what you are doing right now. If these numbers are bad, you're doing bad stuff. If these numbers are good, you're doing good. And by being able to understand them, you know where are the bottlenecks, where are the potentials, and you can learn the skills, learn the techniques to improve your work, and then these numbers improve. These numbers are just a reflection and the measurement of the quality of work that you're doing right now in your 6 areas of digital business.